Welcome back, painting friends. Today we're going to paint a fun little fall walkway with a swing. Colors you're going to need: red, orange, yellow, blue, brown, black, and white. Over here I've got blue, white, and gray together, or blue, white, and black together, because I want to create a really nice smoky blue for my background. So let's get started. I'm going to start off with my 1-inch flat brush, and I'm going to use mostly yellow on it, just a little bit of brown. And we are going to turn this into our ground. So just above the halfway point of my canvas, I am going to just kind of brush these colors in. I don't want the yellow to be a super, super, super bright yellow, which is why I am putting the brown mixed in with it to kind of give it a more of a dull fall yellow. Once I have that done, I can wipe and wash off this brush, and then I'm going to go ahead and mix that blue, white, and black together to make a really nice dark smoky blue color. And that is what is going to be in my sky, a really dark smoky blue color. I want it to look kind of like a hazy morning or a hazy evening. Oops, look what I did. Just wipe that off right there, it'll be fine. Now with this on there, I'm going to go ahead and take some white, and right here, I'm just going to add a little bit of lighter blue. My brush gets too bluey, I can just go ahead and wipe it off and grab some more. I just want to make the center part here a little bit lighter. And I can just kind of brush that in. Perfect. Let's let this dry, and when we come back, we will add in our trees. With a dry background, we're now going to start laying out some of our ground space. So I went and got one of my older 1-inch flat brushes. This guy's been retired, but I keep them around because there's these great bristles that have like kind of separated over the years. Okay. And so I'm going to use this as like a stamping technique. Okay. If you don't have an old brush, you can also use your rag and just use like the bumpy edge of it kind of the same way. Or you could even use a toothbrush. Now, if you use a toothbrush, I'd probably cut it off here and kind of hold it like a stamp. So there's a couple choices there. But what you're going to want is you're going to want to be able to put paint just on the very tippy top of those bristles. And I'm going to use some black and some brown. And what I'm doing is I'm taking it and I'm putting it on my paint, adding a little bit, and then I'm kind of tapping it to the side, and you'll start to see those little baby spots pop up, and that's what you want. And what we're going to do is we are going to start right here at our lightest part of the sky, and we are just going to go in and kind of make a pathway, and this pathway is going to come up around here, come back, and then kind of end over here. Okay, so this is going to be my pathway spot. Now, as I do this, I don't want to have a repeated pattern of my brush. So I'm actually going to kind of turn my brush every once in a while, go back over those areas. And I also want to realize that as I'm doing this, my pathway is going to get wider as it comes down to the front of my canvas. And it's going to stay smaller towards the back of my canvas. So we just want to make sure we're also changing the perspective of our walkway and making it get bigger as it comes forward. So let's knock this out. So with our pathway laid out, now we're going to kind of cover up this entire space. We want it to look like a fall forest. So I'm going to use mixtures of reds and oranges, maybe some more browns, definitely some more yellows. And I'm just going to add some colors pretty much anywhere on here. Again, kind of moving my brush around to kind of keep it interesting. I can even take some of that color and kind of bring it into my pathway as I want to. So you're going to use pretty much every color on your palette, the reds, the oranges, the browns. Move those brushes around and you are going to fill up this space with a really nice ground texture for a fall forest. All right, let's get this done. Now that we have our pathway lined out, and you'll notice I did go ahead and add some of that darker brown into my leaves. I just wanted some area of contrast over there. And that's also where I'm going to put the bases of some of my trees. So let's move on to trees. Trees in the back are going to be lighter than trees in the front. So what I'm actually going to do is add some black paint to that sky color that I use, that smoky sky color. I'm going to add some black and some white to that to make some smoky looking trees. So all I'm doing is adding some black and white to that background color for my sky. And then I'm just going to go in and back there, I'm just going to make a couple of lines, and I don't need to add too many, and they're just going to kind of be thin lines. I'm using my number 6 round brush, and you can add them kind of wherever you want to put them. On some of those, I'm going to take just a little bit of white and just put a little highlight on them. So I don't want a whole lot. Again, using my number 6 round brush, I am not letting that brush touch the canvas very much. Just a little spot of white here and there. I'm going to add a little bit more black to that color I just made, that light blue color. We're going to darken it up a little bit, and I'm going to do the next layer of trees. Now, you will notice as you start to do this that some of your trees might get some yellow on them, so make sure you keep that brush clean. And these trees that are a little bit darker are going to come down further. So if you get a little bit of yellow on your brush, just make sure you wipe it off. And then we're going to move on to our foreground trees. And this is where we're going to now add brown into that smoky blue mix. So I'm adding quite a bit of brown in. I want to still have that smoky color, but I want it to be more of a tree color. And these are our trees that are going to have a little bit more detail to them. So I'm going to go right here where this dark spot is, and I'm just going to kind of make a line at the base. And then as I pull that tree up, it's going to get thinner as it goes to the top. And then I am going to take some black paint and just go right along this back edge. And I can just kind of keep brushing that black in until it comes up to that brown. It has a really nice variation of color. You can also take a little bit of black lines like this just to have it look a little bit more like tree bark. And you can make as many of these trees or as few of them as you want. At the base of the tree, feel free to put a couple little, root lines that come out. They're back towards the back, add some black to them. You want them to connect. But then add as many of these front runner trees as you want. And then we'll talk about our tree with our swing on it last. I'm going to make some little trees up front. Just a couple of babies. All right, so then our big tree. I'm going to be over here, and I'm going to go in with that same paint mixture, and I'm going to put my branch first that my tree is going to be hanging on. So I'm going to put my branch right here, and then it's just going to kind of come down to where this big tree is. I might switch to my number 10 round brush. It'll be a bigger tree. So switch over to my number 10 round brush. We're going to have our tree for our swing right here, coming down into the ground. You can add more branches if you have more space. I'm just going to add a couple of branches. I'm going to put one here and one there for my big ones. Then the tree itself is just going to kind of go up and off the edge of the paper or the canvas. I'm going to go ahead and grab that black on there and add some black in here to give it that nice dark edge. Switch back over to my number 6 round brush for all my little twigs. And then as far as my chain coming down, I'm going to start with white paint, and I'm just going to start right here at the top of my tree branch and just kind of paint a white line coming down. From there, I'm going to take black paint and I'm just going to tap the way down Trying to stay right on top of that white line. My bench seat is going to be a mixture of brown and white. I want it to be a little bit, my bench seat, my swing seat, a little bit lighter. I'm just going to make a nice little rectangle across here. Add a little bit of the chain below it. A little bit of black paint. I'm going to go ahead and add some black right down here at the bottom of the rectangle to show kind of where the edge of the wood is. I'm going to take a little bit of black and put a little bit of wood grain. Just a little bit of skinny little lines with my number 6 round brush. Use some brown and do the same thing down here. Small highlight on the side. Actually, you know what I need to do is I need to get this chain to go right down here to the center. We're going to add a little bit of highlight to the front of this. And then I'm going to go back in with that old brush, old trusty right here, this guy with all the bristles popped out. And I'm going to add a little bit of orange and yellow onto this brush. And I'm going to add just a couple of areas that have leaves on the trees. So any place where maybe my trees are a little bit lower, or even my tree that holds onto my swing would be a good spot to add some of those. And then you know what to do. When you finish, you need to find a color that's going to show up well on your canvas and sign your name. Remember that I never get to see what you're making at home unless you take a picture of it and post it to my Facebook page, Painting with a Purpose. Make sure that you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Painting with a Purpose, so you're kept up to date on all of my tutorials. And remember, as always, stay kind, stay creative, and stay safe. Have a great day, friends. Bye now.